during the pandemic, telehealth really picked up considerably, in all honesty. I mean, and for us right now, still on our platforms and for individual providers' platforms, the bulk of the services being done in Hawaii via telehealth are still mental health services.
I think that this has been a lifeline for a lot of people in a rural area. To me, this should be a pretty easy to.
The telephonic service is critical to improving access for several vulnerable groups, which include the elderly, low income, mobility challenged, limited English proficient, and rural residents. And we all know that these are groups that are very much present and in need in Hawaii. So that's all. Thank you.
Psychologists telling us, hey, we've got some very vulnerable patients, particularly seniors, people in rural communities, people of lower income, who disproportionately rely on the telephone for their mental health services. And I'll give you two examples of vulnerable patients. One is a person with multiple medical conditions would have to travel on the bus with an oxygen tank and a lot of other medical equipment. Takes them an hour to leave the house to get on the bus, and once the bus drops them off, another half hour just to make it up to the psychologist's office. Another person with social phobia was so ashamed of their physical appearance, they didn't want the therapist to see them on video or in person, wouldn't do anything else other than the telephone. So any restrictions on the use of the telephone will result in some people dropping out of treatment. And there must be at least hundreds of such people, and that means bad outcomes. But the bottom line for me is, shouldn't that choice be left to the provider and the client to decide what is in the best individual needs of that client, rather than having the insurance companies or the government decide that? Thank you very much.
Chair Baladi, members of the committee, I'm Audrey Suga Nakagawa, Advocacy Director for AARP Hawaii. AARP stands in strong support of this measure, and what can I say? The previous testifiers really pretty much took everything I would want to say, but of course you can, and as you can imagine, telehealth has become a very important and vital tool for accessing healthcare, especially for a kapuna. And yes, while more and more seniors are becoming tech savvy and are using the mobile devices and other type of technology, still many prefer to use telephone in communications. And partly it's because sometimes the connectivity is unstable. Even in urban Honolulu, I have sometimes problems connecting from Maunalua Valley. But you can imagine that it might be even worse for other areas of their islands, neighbor islands, and rural areas. And so, having this audio only as part of the telecommunication modality is very, very important. So really appreciate having this recognized in this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you. ATA action.